Please welcome your club night host for this evening, Marcus Morgan.
Good evening. Good evening and welcome to the Magic Circle. Good evening to everyone here in the theatre and also watching across the world via the website. Thank you to the wonderful efforts of our tech team. We are back online, so thank you very much to them. Round of applause. And there's some other people that deserve a round of applause too. We do always love it when people come here to try to join our number. And so tonight we had, for their exams, Robert Wilson, Gary Bainbridge, and Antoine Tarhon. So a round of applause for them. And also examining for his AIMC we had earlier downstairs, Paul Regan. The best of luck to you all. We hope you get the result you're looking for. Tonight's lecturer is the headliner of Monday Night Magic in New York. He has had 3 hit, highly rated Broadway shows. He has a magical CV as long as Lee Hathaway's arm. Just the one. And tonight he will be sharing with us the secrets of speakeasy sorcery. Certainly not something to be sneezed at. Topical. Please, of course, put your hands together for Peter Samelson.
As well, are you able to join me up here also as well? No? No? Is she? Oh, yes, you? Yeah, can you? Yeah? Yeah? You can come up also. It's all right. Yeah, I need one more person. Yeah, have a seat right there if you would, please. Yeah. Terrific. Welcome. This is the Speakeasy Magic set. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And a round of applause for these wonderful people up here. Thank you. Who I will get to know in just a moment. So what is Speakeasy Magic? Speakeasy Magic is a venue in New York City that was created by Todd Robbins several years back. It is put on and produced by the people that did Punch Drunk. They do Sleep No More in the building. Speakeasy Magic runs from Wednesday through Saturday every night, and it's a remarkable thing. It's a venue with all these people. I happen to be fortunate enough to be one of the performers that in Nobleman magazine. There was a recent spread on this with pictures in there all about it. That's Todd Robbins emceeing the show. People come. It's sort of a bar, kind of a nightclubish kind of a thing. Speakeasy, smoky atmosphere, hazy, and individual small tables, which we're sort of simulating here. So what I thought I would do is do the Speakeasy set, which means that I am going to basically do the 13 minutes that each close-up performer does before getting up and moving to a different table. That little box was there. So here we are. You can hear the atmosphere is starting up. We're getting up in here. They've just seen a stage show, a performance. Matt Holtzclaw, usually, doing his fabulous cigarette act that happens in there. And then Todd comes back on and says, and now the magic comes to you, and a spotlight comes up on the table, and we walk up. Hey, hi, how are you? Welcome to Speakeasy. How you doing? Are you enjoying it? Have you had your drink yet tonight? Hi, how are you? Hi, I'm Peter, by the way. Nice to meet you. Hi. Do you know what a myth is? What is a myth? Something made up. It's a story. It's a story that's both true and not true at the same time. Perfect for magic. Not true because it may not be literally true, but true because it speaks to a truth in our heart. Oh, isn't that special? high. Would you just put your initials, if you would please, right there on the corner? That's the writing end. It's already open. If you would just please, right there on that corner. I'll hold it up so it doesn't mark the table. Terrific, like that. In ancient Greece, they had the myth of the phoenix. The phoenix was a bird imagery. Oh. That bird was scarlet and golden and resembled a falcon or an eagle. Cheap origami. Precision is overrated. At the end of 500 years, the phoenix would build a nest in a great oak tree and sit there and flap its wings very rapidly. So rapidly that the nest would catch on fire and it would sit there and burn until there was nothing left but ashes and embers and the smoke that rose into the night. You're about to meet the phoenix. That's the universal symbol for please take this. Thank you. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, okay, all right. So you don't get hurt. We're going to do everybody right out there, and nobody gets hurt there. Perfect. Thank you very much. The phoenix would burn for days and days and days until all that was left were the embers, the ashes, the smoke that rose into the night. You can smell that. Yeah? You can feel that.
Yeah.
It's not hot. No, it's all right. Could I get you to hold out your hands, please? Just like that? A little higher. Yeah, no, a little closer to me, like that. Just close them into fists, if you would, please. Are you right or left-handed? Right-handed? Extend the index finger on your right hand, if you would, please. And I just want you to feel that. We know it's not too hot. It won't burn you. You feel that? Feel it's charred and gone and damaged. The bird is dead. I know, it's a terrible thing. Just like that. Don't move. I want you to hold on to the burnt section, if you would, please, but hold on to it from underneath, if you would be so kind, just like that. Like that. And I want you to just take that, if you would, please, and just feel right there. Yeah. That's all smooth and brand new and restored, because the phoenix myth is that it would rise from the ashes brand new, unharmed. We're leaving Greece now, and we're moving into Egypt. I'm going to move your hand, because you are now the sun. The sun which dies at the end of every day and is reborn in the morning. The Egyptians had the same myth, but it wasn't a bird, it was the sun. It would rise from the dawn the way the phoenix would rise from the ashes, unharmed, reborn, brand new. These are the first stories of resurrection and rebirth. This is the beginning of magic. Don't move, you can let go, because out of those ashes the phoenix would rise again, unharmed, brand new, completely back to where it was just moments ago. Wait. Are those your initials? They are? So that means this is the same piece of paper that we began with just moments ago? Is that right? Take your finger, just rub. Are those really there? Are those really your ashes? Yeah? And what about there? Is it completely restored? People say, what happened to the ashes? What happened to the burn? Rub right there, rub right there. Then rub the back of your hand. Rub there, rub the back of your hand. Rub there, rub the back of your hand. People say, what happened to the ashes? What happened to the burn? Take your hand, just turn it over and open. Are you okay? Yeah, you all right? Okay. You just take some time for yourself. I know this is an emotional experience, so you just enjoy it. We're going to move on. You come back and join us whenever you're ready. There's a very close relationship between science fiction and magic. They both rely very heavily on your sense of fantasy, the flight of your imagination. And there's a classic science fiction story called The Invasion of the Body Snatchers. 1956, Kevin McCarthy. It's a story about aliens that descend from outer space. They emit these large pods, pea-pod-like creatures that split open, and people come out of them. They start taking over this little town. You can always tell when someone's been taken over because they are totally without motion. They just follow along. The herd. For some strange reason, this is set in Southern California. Oh, you've been there. I use kings for my little California town. Some of them are awake, some asleep. But whether or not they're awake or asleep, Nobody escapes the pod creature. Notice the leafy shoots. You can imagine the pods beginning to grow. So we have our little California town, our pod creature under story. Now it's a soft, sultry California evening. Shadow passes over the town. Spaceship descends. The first person the pod creature comes upon is a derelict lying in the gutter. He roughs him up a bit. In a moment, he's gone. Somebody sees this happen. He runs to get the cops. Before he gets half a block away, they tap him on the shoulders and he's gone. Sometimes they attack in pairs. If they attack in pairs and you're not looking, it's all over for you because immediately you've got 1, 2, and 3. Sometimes they attack when you are looking. If you are looking when they attack, it's still all over because immediately you've got 1, 2, and 3. There's the Scarlet O'Hara. Scarlet just gone with the wind. Sometimes you just do these jokes for yourself. All these movies have a drifter. Doesn't really belong in the film. He's just sort of passing through town. But as he passes through town, they get him. The hero and heroine, true blue and loyal, up until the last minute, went in a little cave with a river running through it. You remember the river? They're suddenly gone, 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 and that is the invasion of the body snatchers. No happy Hollywood endings here. We win in this one. I mean, the aliens win in this. That comes out wrong. Terrible. People always ask magicians, how do you get started in magic? It's a good question. I was tricked into it. Don't judge me. I was 5. I thought it was real. I was convinced that there was such a thing as real magic. But I realized that if you want to do real magic, you have to do it with real items. You have to do it with real things. You keep your eye on that. Oh, but just check that out first, if you would, please. Make sure it's quite solid. And make sure that's quite solid. Yeah? Nice. Good. No breaks, gaps, holes in it? No? Terrific. And the ring is solid? And the shoelace? Normal? 2 ends, 1 on each, a middle somewhere near the center? Yes, normal, exactly. So we have 2 ordinary normal objects, a ring and a rope. But if I take this rope and I tie it into a knot, we now have 2 rings. We have a ring of steel and a ring of rope. Ring of rope and ring of steel, steel and rope, rope and steel, steel and rope, and steel, steel, rope, rope, steel, steel, rope. But if I want to bring the ring of steel from out here to the middle of the ring of rope, I have to take, well, you can't just toss it and have it tied on there, or can you? Well, that's a very convincing illusion, though. What's your name?
Preston.
Preston. Hi, Preston. I'm Peter. Nice to meet you. Preston, is that on there?
That is on.
Is that really on there? Yeah. Could you just undo that knot, if you would, please? So it's not just on the rope. It's actually in the middle of the knot, in the middle of the rope, on the rope. Nice. Could you just hold on tight right there? Yeah, don't let go. If a magician claims he can take a ring and put it onto a rope or take it off, don't believe him. He can't do it. It's too late, Preston. You can let go. Thank you very much. Could you just grab a hold of this? Hold on tight. Yeah, I can take the ring. I can place it onto the rope. I can twist it on. I can tie it on. I can't really take it off, but I can create the illusion that it comes off. As you're staring at that ring, it will actually look like that ring comes off of the rope. But it doesn't really come off. You want to take it off, now it's off. You're not getting this. Okay, all right, you can let go, thanks. We all have our dreams, and my dream as a child was to take a ring and a rope and take the ring from out here, strange childhood, take the ring and take the rope and just give it a little toss and have it tied onto the center of the rope, and people go, wow, that's incredible. A little radio-controlled ring, you tap. It's not true, I don't use it really. But you know, looks nice, can be tough. Come up to me after the show and go, hey, that was really great, but you were doing that with your ring. I'll bet you can't do that with my ring. Okay, we'll try it with your ring. It's all right, I brought one for you. We'll try it with your ring. Oh my, thank you. And your name? Daryl. Exactly. Look, I'm going to do the same thing with Daryl's ring that I just did with mine, all right? Look, once that ring is on the rope, is there any way to get that off? Yes. Just hold the ring in the left hand, pull slowly with the right. Immediately it's free. You can do this at home. Amaze the family, fool the friends, stump the dog. But I'm not going to do the magic. Preston is going to do the magic. Preston, if you don't mind, would I get you to hold out your left hand? Perfect choice. The ring is going to go in the center of your hand just like that. Close your hand like that. Bring your hand out here. I don't want you to lose that ring. Hold on to that end if you would please. I'll hold on to this end. Keep the ring in your hand, but slide your hand down this way and then back that way and stop. Now you didn't bring that ring near either end, so the only way to get it off is through the rope, and you may have actually felt it as it popped through as you ran it back and forth. Did you feel it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's an amazing experience. Just slowly open your hand. Yes, indeed. You see, it really does come off, right? Ooh, amazing. Round of applause for Preston, please. Preston, will you do one more for us?
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Great, terrific. So I'm going to ask you to hold on to Daryl's ring, but hold on to it through the handkerchief, if you would, please. Just little pinchy fingers from above. You got it?
Yeah.
Don't let go of it. You will feel it getting smaller and smaller. I am so sorry. Smaller and smaller and smaller. Anything?
Yeah.
Yeah? Oh, well, I'll tell you what. Just lift it up and lower it down right through the ring, if you would, please. Yeah, right, all the way down through. Yeah, and then once it's all the way through, just let go. You had it, and then you didn't have it. It was there, and then it wasn't there. And when I say it wasn't there, what I mean is when you let go, it was gone. Gone, gone, absolutely gone, completely gone. Well, that's my time. Thank you very much. I've got to, oh, I am so sorry. Everybody loved that except for Daryl. Have you been keeping your eye on that box? You have? Excellent. Would you just push that box into the center of the table? Thank you. I do not want to touch it. Preston, would you just please open up that box if you would please? Yeah? Take a look inside. Tell everybody what's in there. What is it?
A rose.
A rose, exactly. Grab the rose, hold it up high so everybody can see it. Hold it by the stem so they can see it all the way in the back. Look, somebody sent a package along with the flowers. Don't let go. Look, I'm going to take it just like that. You can see there's something in there by the weight. Look, inside of this little package that you were guarding over here the entire time, that you then took out from over here. Inside of this package, there's paper, more paper. But if you look down on the very bottom of that, down in the very bottom of that, down inside, you see there's a ring down inside of that. And you're going to have to tell me that is indeed your ring, is it not? And you may keep that ring as a souvenir of the show. And the flower, well, Preston, that's for you. And you can give it to whoever you like who worked so hard tonight. There you go. Thank you so very much. I'm Peter Samelson. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Okay, so that is the set that I do at Speakeasy Magic. I hope you like the ambiance. Did you say you had to go, or are you able to stay? You're okay? Okay, great, thanks. So let me just break this down. There's a lot that goes on in this set. And I wanted to go through the entire show for you so you can kind of see what it is and see what's happening. The magic that happens in here starts slowly. A lot of guys feel like you need to work out and hit really hard. And there are, in the course of the evening, an audience will sit at a table. They'll see a couple of stage shows, and they'll see 5 close-up performances. You came to Speakeasy, so you know what it's like. It's a remarkable experience because you're literally this close all the way around. And so for people, it's this chance to really see things as close as you can possibly get. And each performer does a different set. There's an attempt to make sure there's no crossover of material. And so what happens is there's this big experience that happens here. So I like to come up and I like to start slowly on doing this. So I'm going to reset. That really is for you. You can keep it. I brought another one. You all have out there, you have paper napkins. I have some for you here as well. So I'm going to teach you this as well. Preston, you've got some already? Okay. You need one more, and you need two. Let me just talk really quickly about the structure for this. I've done this in a lot of different times in a lot of different ways, and I've taught it before. But the important part here is I want to make sure that it gets signed. It gets signed for a very important reason later on, which is when they look at it and they go, oh my God. There's that moment when you say, are those your signatures, your initials? And they go, yes. And I say, and I reinforce it. That means that that's the very same piece of paper we began with. And that seems to take it to another little important aspect of this. So it's signed. Let me just show you and teach you this basics of this. So we have here, can you just go back to the slides for just 1 second, if you would, please? Because I want to do this methodology. And in methodology, I want this to be understood. This is a basis behind it, which is that I can't do magic. It only happens in your minds. My friend Eric Mead has said the same thing. He said, magic exists only in performance. We may be many amazing and incredible things, but without an audience, we are not magicians. And even Delacroix, as an artist, said something identical to this, but from the artist's point of view. What we are called upon to make is not the thing itself, but the semblance of the thing. Moreover, it is for the mind and not the eye that we produce our effect. Okay. So let's go now and really break this down. The thought is this: magic is not illustration, it is metaphor. And what is metaphor? Metaphor is where one thing stands for something else that is not literally parallel to it. So in this example it says, Paul fell through the trapdoor of depression. Bright and cheery, but nevertheless you get the idea. Trapdoor, not literally, but it becomes metaphoric. Okay, let's go back to the live video if we can now. Take the pieces of paper that you've got here, if you would. All of you open it up, and open it up completely. I open it up completely partly because I want this, and I want to be able to create this by creating diagonal positions on the angles. You create this image of a bird. And the imagery is important. So now stick your finger under the center of that, like this. Grab the point, pull down, fold it in half, and then fold the pointy part in half. That will create your less than precise origami, remedial origami. This then, you can actually create a little bit of emotion on this just by squeezing the thing. You can get this to sort of flap a little bit. As they're sitting there, you can create this sense of it moving. Not a big impression. This allows you to then go further because they've established the story of the bird, and the script is in the lecture notes if you want it, and that's fine. You now straighten this out. You're going to be burning, obviously, not the real tip because they're signing the bottom of this. So what are you going to do? So set this down for just a moment and take the second piece. Now, the easiest way to do this is just repeat what you did, which is stick your finger in the center and pull it up and then tear off the center. I find, and that will do for you, you want about 1.5 inches or 2 inches of that end. So you can just tear that off. And that gives you an extra little piece. There is, when you are having to do a secret move, there are 3 types of justification. There's logical, there's physical, and there's emotional. Many years ago, I was working at the Magic Townhouse. Slidini came in, and I was puzzling, how do you get that ball to release on the chop cup? And I asked him about it. He said, well, I don't do the chop cup. I said, well, how do you cover that? He said, well, I would do something like this. Shake, 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 shake. Take the ball, imaginary ball goes into the pocket. It's now inside of there. You set it down. Watch as it travels. Did you see it go? No? Ah, wait a moment. Try it again. And in that moment of frustration, justifies that motion. So you've got this logical. It's logical if I need to grab something to look around. Maybe I have to bend down to get something because I have to find it there. Makes sense to do that. It's physical. If I want to, I can't just let go of this or it'll fall. So I have to set it down. And then the emotional aspect that we just talked about. Irv Weiner, in doing this, combines all of those. So I'm going to teach you this moment right now. You want this extra tip, and you want it held at the tips of the fingers. So take that fingers, and you do not want it sticking perpendicular. You want it lying along the fingers. Torn part near the tips of the fingers, pointy part near your palm. Okay? Hold this in the other hand, and place it so that the middle is on top of the fingertips. So you're holding it like this. So how do I get this? Well, tonight I had a lighter, and that lighter had a rubber band around it, and tucked under that rubber band was this extra piece. So that's all set in my pocket. You're about to meet the phoenix. This comes out. I'm going to hand this across, and so I just pull away that piece. It'll never be seen. White art. So that gets passed over for the person to burn this. You're now in this position that I've just had you hold the thing. This is held between your fingers. This is held against it. So that's the starting point. Have them light this. They can either be a match or a lighter, or whatever you want to do. We'll talk about that in a minute. Come over and grab the center, and you go to have it lit. And just before it gets to that flame, you realize there's something wrong. So that's the emotional part of it. Like it was, you were going to burn yourself, or it was dangerous. So I needed to move your hand, so I put this away, and this gets laid down so the tip is right on top of the torn pieces. There. Oh, wait a moment. And you're really just holding on to this so that you can then move the lighter, reposition it, get them to do it, whatever you want to do. So that goes there. In that position. Try that for just a moment. Imagine that you've got this and you're reaching out to have it lit. Come back. Imagine moving that. And now you're going to pick up and add the piece to it. Just the way you're holding it is just held like this. If you just move the first finger out of the way, you can just come down, put your fingers on top, thumb underneath, and when you come away, you've got everything. Okay? That goes and that gets burned. Let me pull out the burned piece for you. Oh, I have backups. I have many backups. Regardless. This is here, and this is burned. You're now in this situation. I reach over and have them smell it. I need to pick up the ashes for this. And what I've got is on the bottom of my jacket, because I'll do this often when I'm standing around. There is inside of here, Velcroed, a small little unit. I use these little Listerine breath strip units because it has a little closing flap. It's easy to open, easy to close. That's on the inside of the jacket with a bit of Velcro on the back. That opens. I simply grab that as I'm having this smelled and touched. I get a small amount of that. And that gets closed up.
Is that ash?
It's not ash. It is Samelson's secret stuff. And I developed this because a lot of people, you can't get ash, and it's really in bars. And a lot of people use makeup. The problem with makeup is it doesn't come off. so it leaves a thing. And you were able to get it off really easily, yes? Yeah, completely clean. So now I've got this in this situation, and I say, hold out your hands, and that's the point at which I will do a standard load on, just, yeah, come on that way, and it just gets loaded on. Close your hands into fists, and that's already on there. So now I get down and I get rid of this, either under the table or against my jacket. I've got a spot in here where I can just get rid of that. So now that's there. I can also get, if there's a little bit left, I can also just get rid of it right on the tip, like that. I say, you stick out your first finger. This gets held from beneath, right? So you are now going to have the person that just lit it hold it like this. So you want to take that part that's burned, come over, turn the whole thing over, and fold down these extra pieces so it covers the tip underneath. That gets handed off. They hold on to the actual napkin. You walk away with the piece, pick up the lighter, put it in your pocket, and you're clean. Now you go back to the person whose finger is extended, yeah, and they touch that, and this happens here, slowly, and there's that moment of, wow, that's amazing, and then those are your initials, yes. Rub them, make sure they're quite real, yeah. And what about the center? Is that restored? Yes, it is. It is. But people say, what happened to the ashes? What happened to the mark? Rub there, rub your hand, rub there, rub your hand, turn your hand over and open. Yeah. So thank you for letting me do that to you twice. What this means is that you have done a restoration which is absolutely impossible. It's a signed napkin restoration, which is even more impossible. And then beyond that, the question of what happens to these ashes, what happens to this burn section is answered. Because it's always bothered me as to what happens to that. Where does it go? Why don't we see it? Do we smell it? Not? And this is this. This gives an emotional moment here. I don't want to give the time, I don't have the time in doing this to really go through this in the show, to really give you the focus you need. Because it is an emotional experience, the person that it happens to. It's like, oh my gosh. And for a lay person, it's a very powerful moment, and they need the time. Don't deprive them of it. Allow them to really experience it, but the rest of the table can go on. And they will sometimes spend all of Body Snatchers dealing with that. And every once in a while, I can sort of check back and say, you doing okay? All right, good, terrific. I'm going to save questions for the end. Is that okay with you guys? Yeah? Okay. So then I'm going to move ahead on this. And, well, we'll answer all the questions later. Okay. Okay. I'll do the questions later. Let's move ahead then on this, because I know I'm limited in my time here. Could I go back to the slides just for a minute, please, here? Thanks. This is Darren Brown, who talks about stories and this. One of the things he talks about is the difference between stories. People get very involved in the stories, and it says a performer can become very involved in what they perceive to be the symbolic value of the plots. But in real performance, what they fail to realize is that the communication of meaning becomes ludicrously disproportionate to the effect. What this means is, don't let your stories overshadow the actual magic that's being performed. We have a tendency to fall in love with the scripts, and especially now when there's this big emphasis on storytelling magic, it's important that you keep the effect as primary. The story needs to support it. So I think that, although I agree with Darren here, I think that I need to be able to give you tools to deal with this. These are the questions that I use in trying to deal with all of that, to make sure that you don't lose the perspective of this. And those three questions are why, what, and who. And each of those has two parts. So the why is, why am I doing this? And why should anybody care? What is it about? And what would it look like if it was real magic? And the who is really dependent on the situation that you're working within. Who am I in this situation, and who's my audience? And those things relate. For me, in this story, I do heartstrings, I do gypsy thread. Is it politically incorrect to say gypsy, traveler's thread? Whatever. So what we have known as gypsy thread. And the thing about this is that for me, it's about relationships, and if you've seen me do it, it's called heartstrings, and it's all about the relationships that break. Eugene decided that he was going to use it metaphorically. So for him, it was going to be Shiva and the destruction of the universe and the cycle of life. So even as I use the sort of the mythical for the phoenix and the real for the thread, he uses the mythical for the thread. I think that there's a reason why I made those choices. And I think that that is because the thread is metaphorically more powerful if it's connected with a real thing. The napkin being burned, I think that you have to realize that it's hard to make that powerful, but it fits perfectly with the metaphor. I will tell you that Irv Weiner got into that much differently. If we have time at the end, I'll sort of go through some of that a little bit more clearly on that. So those are the three questions that I ask. Why, what, and who? Why am I doing it? Why should anybody care? Okay. Let's move ahead. So let's go ahead into the exploration of body snatchers. Obviously, it's wild card. Peter Kane created this fabulous effect. I was traveling in Europe, and I was talking with Noel about this the other day. I thought it was Tommy Wonder, who I saw do tamed card, but working out the timing of it, it probably wasn't. It could have been Flip. I'm not sure who it was, but the idea of variations on this. So normally in wild card, everybody, you are familiar with wild card, yes? Yeah? Kind of? Body snatchers? Yeah. So wild card is basically 4 cards that are double facers and 5 cards that are normal. For me, what was it about? It's about one thing changing everything else into match it. So that's where the story connected up with me. I think that it's important to find a connection for something like that. The body snatcher is a great metaphor in itself. And so I don't think that you need to worry about it becoming metaphorical for you. The story itself becomes it, and basically you are doing the story. So much as I just said, it is metaphor, not illustration. In many ways, this is almost illustration. Normally, when people do wild card, I've made some, I think, important changes. They'll put all the 4 of the double facers on top, and they'll do a Hammond count. It comes through here. They'll show 4 that are the same. They'll show 1 that's different, and then they'll show 4 that are identical. I hate that. I really hate that. Why, unless you come up with some reason why you want me to see 4 of one, 1 different, and then 4 of the same again, unless there's some specific reason for that, I don't want to see that. So what I've done is I've changed it up so that you see nothing but the kings first, and by laying some face down, it covers the basic move, which is you're doing a second deal. So the first one, so this is the setup, just so you can see it. This is what I've got. 2 doubles, normal, double, 2 normals, double, 2 normals. So 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. And I'll show you the reset real quickly on that. So now, the first card is laid down. The second one is gestured. And I never really comment on these. It's just in the gesture they want them to be seen. This is now going to be a double, but it makes sense for it to come back to you, and it's a necktie double. You don't have to do a great double. It's all right. You just push it off. Make sure you don't flash that at the back. It's the only thing you really need to worry about, because it's this way, and it gets laid down. The next one is up again, that way, and then the next one goes down again, and then again down. These go down like that, and the next one goes up. This is all covered with script, talking about the story, laying out the basis of this. Some are awake, some are asleep, but whether or not you're awake or asleep, nobody escapes the pod creature. And now you've seen fronts and backs, in quotation marks, of all the kings before you see the odd card. When I do this in a more extended set where it's not noisy, I'll do the sound effect of the spaceship landing. But at Speakeasy, there's just no way they'll ever hear that. So it's just literally spaceship lands, pod creature emerges from the craft, and the first person he comes upon is a derelict lying in the gutter. But the other thing that happens on this is that all of these changes are different. So the first one is just there. It's done. I push these aside and pull this back. I'm still holding this card. This is now a Mexican turnover, and it's literally just tossing it down. Walter Cummings showed this to me many years ago, and what you're doing on this is you're literally just doing that. Letting that fly out and turn down. And you happen to do that as you turn this and pick this up. That comes over, that flips down, that goes down, this goes into the right hand. Tap it with that, and now you can show both cards. This is set up so that you can presage the next one you're going to do. So this goes here. Of course, 3 regular. Pull, display, display. You're going to do the same thing here, except that it's going to be a glide. Down, and that gets pulled back, so you're pulling out the double. That goes down. Oops, sorry. It's here. That goes down. Comes out. There and there. Scarlet O'Hara, Gone with the Wind. The Drifter passing through town. You're just, it's a double. Push off, goes down, drag through, and it's changed. And the last 2, hero and heroine in the cave with the river running through it. Gone. 1, 2, and 3. That's body snatching. There are 3 important changes from the original handling of this. One is showing all the kings first, then the odd card. The second one is each of the changes is really meant to be different. And finally, the last little thing is that the way you've got this set up, the way the handling leaves you, all of these at the back are the doubles. So that if they are going to reach out, and sometimes they do, if you just drop your hands here, they're free to grab a card. Goes there. And if you're really determined that you really want to use that Hammond count you've worked on, now's the time to do it. Because you can show all the backs and they're seeing all the same. So that's Body Snatchers. Now, I did a variation of this for Penn and Teller, and it was pretty highly technically changed. I'm not going to perform it now just because we are limited in time, so I'm going to keep moving. And but it is written up and it's available in the lecture notes, and if we do have time, I can play it for you so I can show you what it looks like. I'm happy to talk to you about it as well. What's happening there? Okay. Let's go back to the slides for a moment, if we could. Thank you. So further on with Darren. Said presentations fail when there's no conflict or challenge for the performer. Well, we just looked at body snatchers. There's no conflict for the performer in this, but the conflict exists in the premise and the plot of the story of the effect itself. So, he does say that there's a part of a texture of a longer set. A skill display may be perfectly valid. So, thank you, Darren. But I think that this is the important thing, that he talks about agency and he talks about the fact that the storyline, this conflict is important. I believe that you can have the conflict within the story, that it doesn't always have to be with the performer. So, the last point that he makes on this is, neither is there any conflict this. A twist in plot may allow the imaginative performer to include this drama, this display piece. So let's talk about, if we can, this display in process, which is the ring, rope, and rose. There are 3 sections on this, and I'm going to show you the reset right now, and then we'll go through this. Thank you. If you have to, I didn't know if are you okay on time? Okay, thanks. So the set on this is really practical. Well, for a show like this. If you're doing walk around, it's less practical, and I have ways to talk about this, and I'm happy to talk about those things as well. You were asking about, that's what I use, Samelson's secret stuff. That's for the body snatchers. This is something else there. So here. I have set up for Speakeasy, I have 2 complete setups, and then I reset between shows for the 2 setups. Reuse the existing prop. It's there. Up, up. The rose is real. There's a pin in the back. It has a business card on it, so they get that as well. The ribbon goes behind the pin and is tied so that pulling on the bundle will untie the knot. So if I were to pull down here, that undoes that knot. This sits inside the box. This was written up. Ross Bertram had a beautiful book, Methods, Matching Methods of Ross Bertram. It's a Gary Sumner effect that is credited by Bertram. Yep. Excuse me. Oh, yeah. Now, if I can only find my props. Oh, there we go. The handkerchief is Richard Sanders' Any Ring. What that means is that in the corner of this, there is a ring, and if you feel it, you'll see that it has a varying thickness all the way around it. So if you get a thicker ring, you can hand them a part that's got a thicker section on the diameter. So if you look at the edge of the ring, it goes like this, comes back, and there's a thinner section. That's inside of here. So it comes out and gets folded, and that's the set side of there. Ring comes out, gets handed off for examination. This gets closed up again. So the rose is sitting inside of there. The handkerchief goes into the top pocket. In the top pocket is this is my crude original that I was traveling with. I have another one. I'll show you how to make these. It's called a pocket perch. That sits inside of there, and the reason for that is that the thumb tip I use, which is very large on this, sits inside the pocket perch. It's held upright, and the nice thing about it is that it won't tip over. So you are not at risk of having a ring fall out in your pocket. So it's also really easy to get. It's easy to place back into the pocket, in and out. So that goes into the pocket so you can get it when there. These are examined. The ring and rope routine was a combination of a number of different things. The first is a toss-on. And this, originally I saw Jeff Sheridan do with scissors for a cut and restored rope routine. The idea is that these ends are trapped between first and second fingers. In coming over to pick up the ring, this is allowed to drop down, passes through the ring, and as you pick up the ring, comes up the other side. So ideally, it should look like it starts in this position and ends in that position. So it should seem as though there is no change in the end of that. What that means is that if you just throw it, it'll be on there. Add to that the knot, the opening of this coming out towards you. So this is loaded on, and the ring is thrown. This is a known routine, and that ends up tied onto the center of the rope. Oh, thanks. For some reason I thought this is better known, but okay, all right. So, but I'm happy to go over that again, but later, probably when we have a little bit more time. So that's there. That's tied on. The thing, if you want to know about that, in the overhand knot, the piece of lace that comes out, you have to be able to, if you think about the fact that the ring is going to slide along this lace and go into that loop, it's important. If you have it on the other side, it won't work well. So that's there. That's on. I do it in this case because it just makes it easier for me. That's on. This goes here. Press in if you don't mind. Yeah. Again, thanks. Yeah, tug on that. Yeah, it's solid. Okay, it's still solid. You open it up. It's there. Now I hold the ring in this condition and ask him to hold on to these ends. So if you don't mind holding on to those ends, right? So what happened there is that in the passing of the ends to him, the ring came off. So this is what's going on. There's a slight, I'm holding the ring by pressing it against the first finger. That allows it to swing. You can kind of see this here. That means that there's a gap here. So it looks like this from the front. It looks like I'm just doing this. But what's happening is that my thumb comes between the ring and the palm, and I twist my hand down. That accelerates the motion of the lace. So in the course of doing this, if you just hold on to that, it's now out. I come up and I stick the thumb underneath the backside of the lace and press up. And that gives the illusion that the ring is really just passing through the rope. The rope is passing through the ring. Grab through and hold and let it come out, making sure your finger goes into this, and that gives you that display with the ring clearly separated.
Can I just ask how you did that display again where it looked like it was
Yeah.
going through it?
Yep, absolutely. Let go again, I'll show you. So this is here, and you've gone and done this.
Yeah.
All right, so if you now hold on, and I will even it out. So now, okay, so that's there. I'm in this situation, sorry. Here. Okay. I have to do it. I actually have to physically do it. Okay, sorry, that's there. So yeah, if you don't mind, hold on to that, if you would please. And now what I do is I actually bring this back, and the thumb comes up and presses that up. So that's here. And I do that. So that's literally pressing the bite up here. And then I come through and I grab here and here and pull back. And that gives that feeling, you see it still being attached. But if I let go, that gives me this situation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay, good. It'll be in the notes,
Right.
and you're getting a set, so not to worry. Okay, so that's that release. The next one, if you don't mind, hold on there. Thanks very much. This gets held on this situation. It's literally on the rope. You spin it slightly, which just starts to wrap it. Spin the top end towards you, so it goes 180 degrees towards you, and then it just gets laid onto the rope. This now gets dropped through and pulled that way. It's a half hitch, but it's just spanning the ring. You can spin it. As long as you can spot where that is, now I can actually slide this along the rope. But if I relax a little bit and give it a shake, it seems to come off just like that. Yeah. So it gives it it's a really nice, solid feeling of that. Again, the premise of this is I'm just doing illusion. You're not getting it. Okay, all right. So it's not getting off. That's the one that happens there. There's another phase that I don't use at Speakeasy, but that's all right. Here now is the last one, which is, it's a toss-on, but you need more space at the top, so I find that if you take the lace and extend the first finger, it gives you more gap at the top. Makes it easier for this to work. So this goes here, and by throwing it, you want the bottom edge to go through the rope. And it seems, it's literally, you're creating a half hitch there. That move is Tony Griffith's. It's a thing called Hitched. And that's where that was booked in. He had published that in a book called Invitation to Mystery. Lovely moment. So that's that moment. And now we go to the borrowed ring. And in this borrowed ring, there are a couple of phases. The first one is you're going to put it on for real. Hold the lace so that it goes across the right palm onto the first finger. The ring goes on the top. You reach through, grab that lace, pull it all the way through, and display it. It's on for real. The reason you do that is because you want to take it off, and you want people to see that so they'll remember it. The joke is made, you just pull it and come off. And now, Preston's going to do it. So I do that specifically because I want some of the focus to go onto you at that point, as I'm seemingly doing the exact same thing. It looks like I'm simply pushing that bite up through and grabbing it and pulling it through like that. It's not what's happening. What's happening is this. I push it up through. You'll notice that the lace comes down across the hand in this position. Right? This little finger comes down and traps the lace. It traps the lace against the palm. That allows me to come down here and grab with the thumb the lace, pull it up, and you bring it up along here between the thumb and the first finger so that it seems to sit in that groove. What happens is, because of the pressure of the fingers at the back, you get this drag that feels like you're actually struggling to pull it through. If you didn't put that drag on there, it would look like this. Very unconvincing. So putting the drag on seemed to put it through, seemed to pull it up, show it again. And now, if you would hold out your left hand, perfect, just like that, the ring goes into the center of your hand, and I place it this condition. And I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I think you can. It looks like it's going through. So when you look at it, it feels like you see it going through as well. One of the reasons to use a round lace is that you don't have to worry about the orientation of the edges. So it gives it nice there. You fold the thing closed, And now, as they move their hand along, the bite gets pulled out, and they actually feel like it comes off. And now when they open their hand, that's where it is there. That's terrific. You ask for a round of applause for the person who just did this. Thank you, Preston. Round of applause there. And then go, oh, will you do one more for us? I take out the handkerchief. The ring is up here. I've stolen the thumb tip. Take the handkerchief, shake it. This is the ring side here. The hand goes underneath, and I bring up the tip and that ring that's in the corner. Why do I do it that way? Well, normally when people do a ring and handkerchief, they'll take the ring, they'll come up underneath, right? Grab that ring as they go under, come over here, come up, and you come out dirty. If you were actually going to put a ring into a handkerchief, it would look like this. How close can you get to that? Well, the closest I found is this. Take that, goes there. The ring goes here, and I turn the handkerchief over. What ends up happening is it goes into the thumb tip, and the thumb tip is there. So let me just go through that one more time for you, because then it goes from there. Large thumb tip, because you never know what size ring you're going to get. That's there. Goes into the thumb tip. And this hand just turns over. You're now hidden. Could I get you just little pinchy fingers right there? Yeah. Now I am in this situation. Yep, hold it just like that. I am completely covered. You can't see anything, you can't see anything, you can't see anything. Nobody can see the tip. So it's completely hidden. Gesture happens here. I'll either then have it go through the ring, or if I have more time, you can let go. I'll have somebody else hold it over here, if you could. Yeah, you got it? Yeah, you just take it and then have them lower it through. And while they're doing that, I put the pen away and leave the tip behind with the ring. That goes through, yeah, it goes all the way through, pull through, and it's gone. Now, it's all over but the shouting. So, I say, would you just put the box on the center of the table? I don't want to touch it. The box gets, I use the pen because I don't want to touch it, and that gets there. Would you open it up, please? The pen goes away while they're opening it up. Steal back the tip, hold it up high, perfect like that. Look, somebody sent a package along with the flowers. Don't move. I'll take that package. I take the package here. There's something in there you can see by the weight. Lie. But if you look at that, yeah, you can see that. Look. Because inside this package that was sitting over here, right, that you came over here and took out from over there, I've now left the tip behind with a ring. Pull off the opening. Yeah. But if you look down inside of there, and I want there to be some loose paper so that when I dump it out, there's paper in my hand, right? Blow that away, and then there's the ring. So you get that moment of exposure. That ring goes back, you have a flower, and this can either go to the person who's been helping you, or it goes to the person who helped with the ashes before. And that's the end of the set. Thanks very much. Can we go back to the slides just for a minute? If we could, please. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Yep. This is what it looks like at the end. Okay. I know we're Are we okay on time? Yep, okay. Questions? I will open it up. Gunnar, you've got some questions possibly up on our Zoom calls, or anybody here is welcome to ask some questions. I can't really see, so yeah.
How many times have you made this show?
I'll repeat the questions if I understand it, or Daryl will.
Nice to meet you. How many times do you make this show with this set? How long time have you made these shows?
12 minutes, 12 to 13 minutes.
How many?
How long? 1 year, 2 years ago, 10 years ago?
I'm sorry. So Speakeasy Magic has been in existence since before the pandemic for a couple of years. So I think it started, Todd began it. This is all Todd Robbins who did this. It was his idea, it was his concept to do this. He pitched it to them. They went with it. He's the master. He's the one who made the choices of the resident magicians. There are basically 9 guys who began at the very beginning. 2018, something like that, is when it first began. So it's been going for now 5 years. It was closed down through obviously through COVID, but we did reopen, and there were people working with masks at the table and magicians. So yeah, yeah.
How many magicians working with you? How many magicians are working in this place?
It's interesting. There's a core group of performers who work through Todd. I'm not one of the core. I'm one of the producers of Monday Night Magic. Todd and I and Jamie, Ian Swiss, and Michael Chout, and Frank Brentz when he was still alive, all produced Monday Night Magic. Todd has done a lot of his own work as well, and so has Jamie, so do I. But Todd created Speakeasy Magic, and he created a core group of people, including Mark Calabrese, Matthew Holtzclaw, Prakash Peru, and a whole folks of people that are now there. So I've seen as many as 14 people in a night. Different tables, and the performers are there for that.
I've got a question over here. Hello. So, when you do the wild card of the invasion of the body snatchers, obviously you've adapted it to make it your own. Would you say out of a version with the Hammond count, which you say you don't like, and a version between, because there's obviously a version out there with a glide, if you had to say which one you would prefer, which one would you say you do prefer, out of a pure version of that with a glide or a pure version with a Hammond count?
So, I didn't quite get the question on that. Was it? If I had to.
If you had to choose a version of the wild card,
yeah.
Because obviously you've made it your own, you've changed it. If you had to say what you prefer, would you prefer a version purely with a glide or a version purely with a Hammond count?
I don't know really how to make that decision. I mean, I made the choice to do the necktie second and be able to do the full display. I think the Hammond count is unless you find a way to justify that central odd card, I would say find another way to do it. Or find a way to justify it. You know, maybe find a script way that makes sense of that. I don't have a script in which that makes sense, so I don't feel comfortable with that. Hope that answers your question.
Fantastic evening, Andrew Eborn. Really interesting. You obviously get audiences will come back because they've had such a great time. Do you change your set at all?
So I don't. The interesting thing is, because the audiences come back, very interestingly, one of the selling points for them to come back is, you know, there were 14 magicians here, you saw 5 of them, come back. There are, you know, the only thing I would say to you is this, that within Speakeasy, the thing that's lovely about this is that it's a real group of people, men and women, who have really learned to explore magic. And what happens is, because Speakeasy is a situation where people, as audience members, come because they're spending a lot of money and they want to see magic. And they're not skeptical in that sense. They've actually become an educated audience so that they may see an effect that they've seen somebody else do that's different, but it's the same effect at a different time, and go, oh, I really like this presentation of the cups and balls, for example, or oh wow, that torn and restored card that I watched this one. It was completely different from that. They've gotten to a point where it's like cover bands and listening to people do really great music. It's a really remarkable experience, and it's great. And the thing that happens is that the magicians start off doing, I'll do my walk around set from the bar mitzvah. I'll do that. I'll just do that here. I'll just take 12 minutes of it. No, you can't do that. First of all, you can't do standard stuff. You really need to start developing your own material within that. And then you start to explore things. One piece, I was doing the smoke routine there. I did a version of the smoke, including the 12-inch coin, which I would walk up to anyway. So that's one of the things. So that's going to be going back in again eventually. So yeah, but there's no need to have to really change it up. You have to have some alternatives, but the way this tables get set up, you just set it up in such a way that you don't overlap with people that are doing similar material. So,
hey Peter, in the ring through napkin one, time over here. Hey. You gave Preston the napkin to hold, apparently with the ring in, but actually it was empty. Is that not very obvious to the spectator? There's nothing in it, so they could feel. Does that ever cause problems? You're kind of passing it around as if it was very easy to sell.
For the napkin itself?
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you saying that during the actual process of the burning, or afterwards?
No, the one with the ring. So right at the end, you had already stolen the ring out of the napkin.
Yes.
You passed an empty napkin across, and you passed it. Is that right? Or I missed a bit. Sorry.
So are you talking about in the packet?
No, the gimmick
in the handkerchief.
Can you show him the hanky?
Yeah. So the handkerchief itself has in its corner has a piece. All right. And so what they're doing, the ring is gone, right? But what they're feeling is they're feeling the handkerchief. The thing that's nice about this ring is that if I have a ring with a small shank, like that, right? This ring inside the handkerchief, Richard Sanders is very clever to have done this. The ring itself has a small area in it, so you can't really see it because it's all black. But I will tell you that on this side here, the thickness right here is about the thickness of this. Whereas on the other side, the thickness is about this. So that if I had a wide band, like a wedding band, I could hold this under the cloth so that what they would feel would match visually the sense they have is I'm holding the right size object. If it's a thin band, I turn it so they're holding a thinner band. So for you, when you were holding this, it was the thinner part, so you didn't do this, as opposed to feeling the thicker one. Is that?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
Peter, wonderful lecture, fantastic effects. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Have you got any suggestions when you're practicing the ring on rope? Often in your performance, you're getting a spectator to hold the ends of the rope. That's quite difficult when you're practicing at home.
Or on Zoom.
Or on Zoom, yeah. Do you have any hints or sort of ways that an individual on their own can practice that? Is that sort of...
Little clamp.
Okay.
It's what I did for Zoom. This is exactly what I did for Zoom, is I found a place and a way that I could take... I had two of these. I would have a rope, and I would do I would basically do a version of this, and at one point I would take the shoelace and I would pretend to sort of put it over here, and I would just pick up the one that's already tied onto another end point and then just work on it that way. So that, or little clamps that you can practice clamp it onto something.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, have a couple of laces and sort of work with each one, because there are times with this, where you're holding onto it. You can put a book on top of that if you want to, or put something heavy there, so you can play with that until you get that one. And then this one is completely different. The difficulty is that in one of the routines that I do, there's a sequence in which the ring itself is held by an audience member, and the shoelace gets tied through the ring. So it's written up in the notes, but that's hard to practice by yourself. You either have to have somebody that you like or who likes you and is willing to tolerate it for a while, or you find a way to clamp that in, or you find a way to clamp it into place. Yeah.
Do we have any questions from the Zoom? London calling.
I don't think so.
Oh,
okay.
Go on.
Yeah, there is one here.
Hi, Peter. I'd like to ask you, when are you finishing your book?
Ah, great
You sent
question.
me an extract a few years ago, and I'm still waiting for the complete book.
Yeah, this is thank you so much. Hey, Lee, how are you? Nice to see you.
Good,
Yes,
Great to see
indeed.
you.
So the answer to you, thank you so much. Nice to see you again. So the answer to boy, it's been a while since I saw you at Abbott's way back when. So, yeah. So the answer to the question is, Richard Kaufman has been after me to republish Theatrical Close-Up. I've been writing up. That's a lot of the early stuff is already rewritten and redone. Portions of that are now part of the lecture notes. So the lecture notes that are being available now, that are here. There you go. 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 Thanks there. So those lecture notes that are there have the early work on the sections for the book. So we have Theatrical Close-Up, and then there's Theatrical Cabaret, and that includes the Love Locks, and includes the all sorts of the String Pipe opening, the Edith Jones opening with the prediction and the book tests that happen in there. Snowstorm is in there, Smoke is in there. So, and there's time set aside this springtime for me to work on it. Yeah. So hopefully by the end of the spring, the work on the writing will be done, and then we'll see what Mr. Kaufman has to say of when it's going to actually hit the streets. So, thanks for asking. Appreciate
Thank you very much.
Any final questions? Okay, so if you go back to the slides, I'll just tell you what this kind of. I'll show you what's coming up here. So, yeah. So that's there. I'm going to bypass this. This is 9 o'clock. Yeah, can I show this? Okay, so this is the wild card that I did on Penn and Teller Fool.
Classic magic of Peter Samelson.
Gentlemen, Penn, Teller, thank you so much for wearing the masks. Considering the nature of the story I'm about to tell you, you may be glad you did. There's a very close relationship between science fiction and magic. They both rely very heavily on your sense of fantasy, the flight of your imagination. And there's a classic science fiction movie called The Invasion of the Body Snatchers, based on the book by Jack Finney. But make no mistake, this is not your father's Invasion of the Body Snatchers. The original was 1956. Black and white, a story about aliens that descended from outer space. They emit these large pod-like creatures, 6 feet long, that would split open and people would start coming out of them. Start taking over a little town, replacing the inhabitants. You would always tell when someone's been taken over because they are totally emotionless. For some strange reason, this is set in Southern California. I use kings for my little California town. Some of them are face up, they're awake, some asleep. But awake or asleep, there's nothing that could prepare this town for the horror that was about to descend into its midst. So it's a soft, sultry California evening when suddenly, out of the darkness, spaceship lands. The pod creature emerges from the craft. You notice the leafy shoots? You can almost imagine the pods beginning to grow. The pod creature emerges from the craft, and the first person he comes upon is a derelict lying in the gutter. He roughs him up a bit. In a moment, he's gone. This guy's just asleep in his bed. They lay a pod next to him, and in the morning, he's one of them. Somebody sees this happen, he runs to get the cops. Before he gets half a block away, they tap on the shoulders and he's gone. This is Scarlett O'Hara. You can tell it's Scarlett, she's gone with the wind. All these movies has a drifter. He doesn't really belong in the film. He and his little canine companion, they're just passing through town. But as he passes through town, they get him, and his little dog too. But they're not done. The hero and heroine, true blue and loyal up until the last minute, went in a little cave with a river running through it. You remember the river? They're tracked to the cave, and in the morning, they're gone, gone, gone. And that is the invasion of the body snatchers. No survivors, no happy Hollywood endings to shield you from this horror. No, in this one, we win. And win, and win, and win, and win, and win. Wow. Well, the interesting thing about that is one of the things that we cut out of that for obvious reasons, that just for time and other pieces that are in there, is that was set in such a way that at the end it was possible to actually show all of the cards front and back at the end. So, well, some things just fall to the way of television. Anyway, back to the slides for just 1 second. I'll show you what's coming up here. This is, if you can, this will show you the items that are up there. So we've got the Speakeasy Magic set. Those are the lecture notes, and that includes everything that we had here in complete detail that's in there, including videos of the performances, including what you just saw, and of Magic Castle, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's some of the notes, which are my previous notes, and those include a book, copy of Theatrical Close-Up. The PDF version of that is available for that. Those are both 20 pounds that's in there. If you want the slightly advanced version of that, there's for 25 of the extra. You also get the template and the plastic and the thumb tip for use with building out the little pocket that happens in there. I think I have one copy of these things. I have extra cards if you want just the cards for the body snatchers. Those are specially printed for the kings and the sevens. I think I have one of the heartstrings that's left. Some of these have gone on the way of the, and one New York Transpo that's in there, and a few of the little bits. This is the Phoenix accessories are there. There's a little holder that I made for walk-around magic, which holds 7 of the tips, so you can steal it and do repeated versions of this as well. And I have some, like 2 or 3 tubes of the secret stuff as well, and those are all available. The lecture notes are 20, the secret stuff is 20, the cards are like, they're like 5 each for that set, and that's about it. I'm not here to really try and sell you lots of stuff. I'm really here just to sort of go through the set list that we did for Speakeasy. Thank you very much. Please, thank you to these wonderful people for sitting up here this entire time. Thank you so very, very much. Daryl, thanks for being pressed into service. Thank you so very, very much. Appreciated greatly. Thank you so much. Please come and see us in New York at some point. Thank you, and there's my email address that's up there on the, well, it's up there on the slides. You can get it. It's psamelson@gmail.com. It's easiest to get to for that, or Samelson Magic. Thanks.
Let's hear it again for Peter Samelson.
Thank you very much.
Andrew Eborn says I look sophisticated and casual sitting on the stage. He's not my target audience. Next week, we have 2 fantastic things on in one evening. Not only do we have Seabrook Sorcerers, a fabulous show being put on for us by Wham, but also it's the first of the hands-ons being run by Nathan. That's going to be at 6:30, and that's Brendan Rodriguez. Have a great week. I look forward to seeing you all back here next week. Thank you.
So how is everybody?
Good, good.
Great lecture.
Yeah, it was very good. And even though there was a little bit of lag, it was very minimal.
Yeah, it didn't detract from it, did it?
Not really. And like somebody pointed out, when we had everything in close up on the table, that we didn't notice the lag at all.
No, you can see his face.
Absolutely. So how are you, Andrew?
I'm good, mate.
How's your writing going?
The writing is having a bit of a siesta at the minute. I'm trying to get round, but I've got too many things to do and not enough time to sit down and write at the minute. So hopefully this next week or so, try to do a bit more. Try to get my time planned in. I'm looking for stuff for somebody else who's asked me to look into something else for them. So been sidetracked.
And Tom, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. Who's going to Blackpool?
Yay!
I'm going.
1, 2.
And who's going too?
A massive congratulations to Peter John as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice surprise for him last week.
AIMC.
It's funny what happens when you find a cable that's unplugged.
Everything works better when it's plugged in.
Yeah, it's actually better when it's unplugged.
Yeah.
Oh,
with me, it's usually the kettle. I go into the kitchen, click the kettle on, go back into the living room, go back about a couple of minutes later and wonder why the kettle hasn't boiled and the thing isn't plugged in or switched on. Oh.
Yeah. Just for the techie-minded out there, so we've now got 2 brand new full fiber connections into HQ. One is a 1 gig synchronous connection, so 1 gig up, 1 gig down, and the other is a 100 meg synchronous connection. That's the backup. That's the one we were using last week, and they were stress testing it tonight. I think there were about 190 clients attached to the network at the time, plus updating all their Mac and Apple software at the same time while we were streaming.
Oh.
And it all held up and hung together and was still going at its full gig. So, yeah.
That's good.
Rather good. Very pleased. Oh, Rodney says he won't be making it. He's just gone to bed.
Yeah.
Go. Lightweight.
He's getting into training for Blackpool.
Yeah. Yeah. So, if they get the cameras adjusted right for the stage lighting, so it's red, and then stream at HD, it'll be absolutely wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
So I hope next week is going to be good.
Yeah, Seabrook saucers, yeah, be good.
Yeah.
What's causing the sound to go out of sync, Kev?
So they need a software update apparently in the HQ software.
Right.
What are they using to? He said multiple into one. Are they using Ecamm Live?
I think they're using OBS because last week when they rebooted halfway through, the OBS logo came up on the HQ screen.
Are they playing the
I think they've got
hands-on thing?
OBS plus various enhancements built into it as well for production purposes.
Evan, if it carries on like that, you're actually going to be better off on Zoom because we've got a lot more detail than I'm sure the people in the HQ saw tonight.
Well, they might be getting something from the screen above the stage.
Ah, okay, we don't see that.
Yeah.
No.
You get
A few times.
The close up.
Yeah.
But it was good. Perfect.
That hands-on thing they were talking about, is that going to be broadcast too, or just the lecture?
I wish it was. I really want to see Brendan.
It can be, but depends on if they want to. When we didn't have any connection to the internet from HQ, it was scratched immediately, but now it's on, so there's nothing stopping it.
But do they have two setups? You know, for like one in the event room and one in the HQ?
It's so easy. Kevin was saying before, you can just use an iPhone, and that can work perfectly.
And now they've got the 1 gig internal network as well. It should all work really well.
Just a simple iPhone on a stand, like they used to for the hands-on before. The hands-on was all recorded before.
Yeah, it was all done on iPhone, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, Peter John, do you have something to show us?
There we go, video. Let's play the Peter John intro.
So welcome to Peter John AIMC.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for your kind comments in Facebook and otherwise. I've tried to thank the council. I'd like to thank the council, but I only have half of the members' emails and so on. This all started when we first, Magic Circle first started Zoom, which must be, what, 2 years ago? I forget now. And I think I've done a little demo every night, apart from one night when the whole thing crashed. I've tried not to repeat anything. So today, for the first time, I'm going to repeat what I did on the very first night. Rodney spotted me. I think he was looking at the gallery, and he said, "Peter John, what's that you're drinking out of?" And I said, "Well, that's my cards mug. And this is one of the cards." And I said, "I've got a few like that." So he said, "Oh, can you go and get them?" So I went to the cup cupboard, which is actually the hostess trolley. This one, as you can see, has cork cards on. I'm afraid we have a problem with shine. I'm not having a chance to set things up. I'll just switch the spotlight off.
You can see it fine, Peter John.
Yeah, that might be better.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was one of them. Then I went to get another one. This one was £1.50 in a sale. And as you see, it's hearts. And of course, what I forgot to tell you was I use them for one of my 27 card revelations. And the revelation on this one, as most of them, on the base, a selected card, 4 of hearts. You may recall before I was saying if you have to force a card and you're not using giant cards, but hopefully you're using jumbo cards or something, perhaps you would choose something that can be seen easily at a distance, such as a 3 of hearts and 3 of diamonds. Good. Red, warm colours, ladies like hearts. And again, the arrow points on this occasion to the Queen of Clubs, because I have a Magic Circle Svengali pack to force the Queen of Clubs. I don't think those packs are available now. It must be at least 40 or maybe 50 years old. Oh, Mr. Bet, do you notice the handle? I've got it the right way round. 3 of hearts. So we got 2 forces on that one. And on this one, £1.50. I don't know how much they were. Most cups now, mugs, are between £5 and £12.99. Our local tourist shop has a set of 4 with either birds or roses or cars or whatever it is, and that's £20, making them £5 each. What's the force on this one? No force on that one. It's black. It's 7. I don't use that one for magic, just for demonstrations. This is the one you'll have seen me use most of, because if I drop it, I've still got 3 left. We sent one as a prize for Magic Circle, and after about 6 months, it came back again. Anyone who thinks they would actually use one of these in a show, I have 2 left for sale. You can have them free, but you've got to pay the postage. And the postage for one of these is somewhere around £5, £4.50 or something, because you have to pack it up in a lot of bubble wrap. This one, of course, all set to force the Ace of Hearts. And that's the one you'll see me drinking of, but not tonight because it's here. 3 of these. These are very useful at Halloween. I think you may have seen them at Halloween, so there's a repeat twice on this one. The other 2 are packed away till next Halloween. Actually, one of them has the word magic and spells all around it, which is rather nice. This is the least popular one. I have got it labelled for the 9 of Hearts. If you go to most magic shops or dealers, the Svengali Force Pack is generally the 9 of Hearts, though I have managed to acquire half a dozen of the 4 of Diamonds, which makes a change. And then these are particularly good. I think this one came from a baby shop. It had this one didn't. This one came from, I've no idea where it came from. It came in a similar box, was packed up as a mug for a children's activity. How can I get it? There we are. Again, use something that can be seen at a distance. 3, 4s or 5s the best. And this one, of course, set up 6 of clubs, because that's the very first Svengali deck I got from Gamagic in the old days, when Gamages had a toy and a Gamages Gamagic department. 6 of clubs. How do they work? Well, you buy them in the box, you take out the box, and you pull out the inside, and it's transparent. It's traps, although it's plastic, it's probably the best one because we can change it. And I quite often have to go back to the same venues, so I keep a record of what force card I used, because one of the ladies there had a very good memory, and she would be very quick to say, ha ha, that's interesting, that's the same card you chose last year, except she doesn't say that because I've anticipated and have a different one. I think I've got 7 Svengali, and of course you could do 7 ordinary forces with an ordinary pack of cards. So there we are. I think perhaps this is the best one. This is an antique collector's one. My wife used to do the antique and collector's fairs, and we get ready early on, half an hour. I would quickly whistle round all the other stalls looking for unusual packs of cards or anything unusual, and this was on one of the stalls. Rather nice. I can't get it to focus for some reason. Put the light back on, maybe that'll help. No, that's worse. So this one has the hearts, some smaller. I'll move back a bit. So smaller ones. We'll turn it round. On the other side, we've got spades. So this is precious. So I won't be taking this out on a gig because I might drop it or someone will pinch it. I have had that apparatus stolen before, which is very annoying. And I doubt that this would replace this one. It's quite old, and if you're into antiques and China, it's got what's called crazing on, which I forgot, it's a sign of something, sign it's old. Unfortunately, hasn't got Clarice Cliff or any well-known make, but to me, that is really valuable, well, it's more precious than valuable. Any questions?
Just want to say, Peter John, this is my coffee cup tonight, strangely enough.
Oh, snap! Oh, well done. Which one is that? That's this one.
Congratulations,
There we go.
as well.
Oh, thank you. Oh, where did you get yours from?
Oh, I've had this ages.
Probably 30 or 40 years, I would guess.
Yeah, I've had that ages.
But you don't have yours marked up with a false card underneath, do you?
No, but I might do after tonight.
No.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, Peter John. Thank you for help for showing us.
Well, thank you for your interest. Thank you for your interest and attendance over the last 2 and something years.
Yes, look forward to another 2.5 years.